Good afternoon. On behalf of Scottish Ensemble, I'd like to welcome you to this online event, which will feature live performances as well as discussions. Now, we all know how challenging the past year has been for so many people. And at Scottish Ensemble, we've been curious to explore ways in which live music can contribute to well-being. A few years ago, we were fortunate to be invited to work with Maggie's, a wonderful charity that provides support for people and their families who are affected by cancer. Some of our musicians went into Maggie centres and shared live music with visitors there. The responses to these sessions were extremely powerful and encouraged us to keep exploring this idea. So I'm delighted to introduce Lesley Howells, here with me, who is Maggie's lead psychologist. Lesley will be our guide for the next hour, encouraging us to deepen our listening skills. We will perform 3 pieces of music, and there will be time after each one for comments and discussion. I'd like to warmly invite you to share your thoughts, and you can do so by using the live chat function on YouTube. It should be to the right-hand side of your screen, I believe. And we will try and include as many of your contributions as possible into our discussion. This will really make the process richer and more interesting. I very much hope you will find this experience rewarding. So without further delay, I'll hand over to Lesley.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. This is an extraordinary opportunity to bring something that works so well, so powerfully within our centres to everybody else, to share it with everybody else. And it's those people and their families affected by cancer who've helped shape this with you guys to make it something that we feel is a truly extraordinary experience. So let's see what happens. This is the first time I've ever worked with live chat, and so let's keep it informal. And if things go wrong, they do. That's the lesson that we've all learned this year. But we will find a way in which we can bring the idea of mindfulness and wrap it around music. And the reason why is because we can't always choose what happens to us in life, but we can pause to choose how to respond. And it sounds so simple. Just press the pause button and calmly decide how to respond in a measured way to the problem, what to do, what to say, how to say it. But we all know that pausing isn't that simple. Thoughts, feelings, physical sensations sweep through our bodies very powerfully, so quickly that we find ourselves swept away in a torrent of fear, worries, uncertainty, despair, anger, irritation, guilt, and frustration, often prompting us to act in ways that just add to the problem. But there are creative and imaginative ways of settling that busyness of our minds and finding that clear space to really choose how we want to respond to whatever life brings us. And that can be in the everyday, in the every moment, or when we're going through particularly stressful times. And that one way is through practicing mindfulness of music. And this practice encourages you to listen mindfully to music, indeed any sound, fully immersing your awareness to provide an extra energizing dimension to the whole experience, and create a clarifying and compassionate pause for yourself, for your mind to settle. But there's also a deeper lesson, a lesson to this practice. And sound provides a metaphor for thought and difficult sensations and emotions. And so just as we practice allowing sound, so the music, the sound to come to us, to arise, to linger, to ebb, so too we can practice the idea of difficult sensations, thoughts, and emotions to arise, to linger, and to go. They only stay around when we get engaged with them. when we create stories around them, or we react to them with aversion and want to push them away, and in doing so, actually get more entangled with them. So now I'm going to lead you into the music with the mindfulness of music meditation. And many of you who are seasoned meditators will know that this is an innovation. So come with us on this. And anybody new to meditation, hopefully this will absolutely make sense. So first of all, simply listen to my guidance before the music starts with as much attention as possible. And then we'll move into the music and let the music draw you in. But first of all, as we start our mindfulness meditation, just give your weight up to gravity, settling down into the surface that's holding you, and placing your feet firmly on the floor. As soon as we all place our feet on the floor in these extraordinary times of restriction and social distancing, as soon as we place our feet on the floor, we're connected, because we're all connected to the earth. Right? So notice that connection. Gravity is an extraordinary, magical force that seldom do we even pause to think about. It holds us in place on this earth's crust, holds us in place. But it's in balance. It allows us the freedom to move, to sit tall, to sit with grace and with poise. So take your time now to find your posture, settling down with gravity and finding your posture. A posture that will help you to remain alert and attentive, but doesn't create too much strain. And also doesn't encourage sleepiness. And you can keep your eyes open and focus on the musicians. Many people have fed back following these sessions saying, oh, we want to keep our eyes open. So please do. But if you want to close your eyes, then do so too, or lower your gaze, whichever is your preference. So let's start moving into the more meditative bit, where you dropping down and inhabiting the body that little more deeply, gathering your awareness around the breath, and observing whatever is a natural rhythm for you. Not trying to change it in any way, but being with it just as it is. Our breath is there, so it's always there as our anchor. Always somewhere to come back to in the present, when we feel ourselves being swept away. So just gathering your awareness around the breath, noticing it coming in and going out. And perhaps focusing on where you can feel the breath most strongly. And what you'll notice is that your mind will wander. And that's normal. It's normal to think. Our minds are seldom blank. But whenever you feel your mind starting to wander, just kindly and patiently bring your attention back to your breath in this moment and later to the music. Bringing it back to where you choose it to be, rather than where your mind wants to take you. So simply being with your breath. And start to consider the ideas that I'm going to offer you in this introduction to the way of listening to the music, the way that we wrap mindfulness around the music, pausing to breathe and to just be. So reflect first of all the precious opportunity to give and to receive music. And take time to feel gratitude to the music you're about to listen to. The instruments, the makers of the instruments, the composers, the musicians, their skillful dexterity, their artistry, their discipline, and their dedication and creativity. Let's just feel the sense of gratitude. But also bringing gratitude to yourself, to you and your body, and your ability to hear, and also to feel the music, We hear sound through extraordinary combination of our senses, not just simply through our ears. So during the music, open yourself up, open to the sound, expand your awareness, bring in all your senses, not just what you're hearing, what you can see, what you can feel in your body as the music comes through. Listen with your whole body. But listening to the rich and pure sensation of sound, staying in the moment with the music, rather than being distracted by critical examination of the type of music, whether you like it or you don't like it, or being caught up, although your memories will be evoked by this, but rather than getting caught up in those memories, allow them to happen, but then bring yourself back to that rich, pure sensation of the sound. Allow the music to arrive rather than search for it. Allow it to rise, to linger, and then to go. Without wishing it to be continuously there. As we often, if something's beautiful, we want it to be there forever. But that grasping can often mean that we're so focused on keeping it there that we lose the joy of just being with it. But also, step away from any thoughts about, I wish this would end sooner. Listening beyond the simple like or dislike of the melody, beyond our preference, beyond even a search for meaning maybe sometimes, listening to richness. And this is so important, reaching to the richness that's there in the variety of tone, the variety of patterns, the pitch, the source sensations of the sounds, the rhythm, the tempo, whether it's loud, soft, quiet, or silent. And maybe you'll spot conversation in the music, conversation between the instruments, the different ways the melodies interweave with each other. And just observing and discover with curiosity, opening to it, hearing how it is within your body, and also the response. What are you noticing coming up? And while we're listening, the music may indeed stir emotions or thoughts, and that's normal. That's what our minds do. But gently notice the thoughts and emotions, and either return your attention to the raw, rich sounds, or if you wish, return to your breath for a while. So let's settle with our breath again, dropping down, gathering your awareness around your breath, noticing the breath coming in and the breath going out. And with the gentle movement of your breath as your backdrop, let the music begin. let's just settle with this one. Wow. Okay, so I'm caught also by the comments that have been coming through here. Seldom do we get feedback in live chat. So what I wanted to do in this discussion, so not take too long because we've got three more pieces to go. But just to kind of notice during that piece of mindful listening, what did you notice? What came up? What were the sensations? And it may be that those people out there who are along with us are wanting to offer things in. I'm just noticing now that somebody was, as William was saying, physically it just gives me chills. It just in that extraordinary, that noticing of not just whether the kind of the emotion of whether you like it or not, but that chills very much, that kind of very kind of physical kind of body sense of awareness. And then Catherine is saying that the instrument sounds like voices to me in that piece. And she really felt the sound in her chest. So that idea of those voices coming and going. And I wondered, could I actually ask one of you, I mean, is it something that you notice? Do you see a conversation in what's happening? Ever? Perhaps you, John, do you want to come in?
Yes, I mean, of course, there's a lot of passing around of material, and it's, I think it's, what's nice, what I notice is that there's a synchronicity between the breathing and the music, and the way the breaths go out through the bow and pass to each section's different instruments. So I was very aware of that.
I think people are agreeing with you here. I mean, the comments about the bass was almost a physical sensation. I don't know how it feels for you there, holding on to it, Di, but also the idea of goosebumps. I mean, isn't it extraordinary? Our bodies, we sometimes think that our head is something separate from our body, but it's not. Something can come in visually, and we've got our amazing interpreter, our sign language interpreter. So she's bringing it alive visually. We're hearing it through our minds, but it's making the wiring is such that it's immediately impacting on our body chemistry. Others are saying, oh, it's amazing, it's so restful. And one chap's saying that he doesn't recognize the piece, but it's very relaxing. But I found it very useful to deliberately bring my focus back to my breathing and the music. I found myself breathing in time. It's an extraordinary anchor. And then somebody said, I've never witnessed classical music being interpreted before. It's absolutely beautiful. And I can see your smile. I feel smiles. But and then such a sense of the music. Oh, Yvonne's saying that the music holds joy and sorrow and everything in between. And isn't it extraordinary when we listen and we hear that melody and we accommodate that in ourselves, the joy, the sorrows and everything in between. And in our everyday, we're having to do that all the time. Not be caught up in the sorrows, not be swayed by the joys and everything in between, but just taking it in our way and still finding those pauses so that we can respond to the joy, we can respond to the sorrow and all that in between. So what I suggest we do is we move on to the next piece. Is that okay? So everybody out there, thank you so much, and keep these chat going because it is amazing. There's even an expression of tears there. But the idea now is to just settle back. So find your posture again, feet on the floor. And resting your eyes if you wish, or keeping them over for the interpretation from Karen, or indeed to follow the musicians. And settling down and inhabiting the body that little more deeply, gathering your awareness around the breath. Feeling that sense of gratitude, opening your whole body to the music, and then let it begin. don't want to break the moment, but just gently again with the idea of what do we notice? What do we notice within our bodies, in our minds, whatever, without judgment. So please, with the live chat, nothing's wrong in terms of what anybody says. All of it is about what we're learning from the music and what it's telling us about what we can do to pause in our everyday and anchor ourselves in something so absorbing. I'm just looking here. Patricia's saying the sound reaches right to my core. I mean, what an affirmation to you all in terms of where you people find solace, find the very important, the intimate part of their body. But also that it's made me sink into my seat. So this idea of very physically, just the way that it can allow ourselves to just give up that weight and settle down with gravity. And Alison's commenting on the idea that it helps me keep focus. Music in general helps me feel focus and my mind feel clearer. And I was just wondering, Scott was observing how even though the music's repeated, the thoughts are different throughout. And so what's coming up, so the things are being triggered in different ways, even though that's repetition. And Yvonne is talking about the sense of bringing those fragments, those opposites into harmony, integration, cohesiveness, blendedness, and form. And that is so much about our everyday as well. We can't predict what happens. We can start off in one way, and the day can end in another, or moment by moment, things are just changing. But that we can bring those fragments, those opposites into harmony. I just wonder, when you're listening to some of these ideas, or indeed when you reflect on your experience of that particular piece of music, is there anything that anybody wants to offer in terms of what they noticed?
I just want to say that when I play something like that, just with regard to some of those comments, I feel more connected, not just sort of musically, but with my own thoughts and the way the music connects to everybody else. But I do feel more focused and in touch with myself and everything around me.
That's so true, isn't it? That sense of connection, so that they're meaning the feedback, isn't it? So you can connect with what people are saying, but also I know that when I've walked into this room, you guys haven't played together for a long time, and the sense of kind of shared connection and camaraderie and just kind of a closeness. That's where we need to come to sometimes. Sometimes we're coming at life from a place of threat or drive, but sometimes the best place to come at is that camaraderie that comes from a community and a connection. So let's see. Karen is just commenting here. I hadn't realized how much I need to stop until now. Mindfulness through connecting with the music feels so freeing and relaxing. And Billy's saying, I felt like it was a sea enveloping and held by the gentle sea waves. I mean, it's just lovely. It's just lovely. And I'm sorry if I don't keep capturing these, but keep them coming. So what I would like to do now is actually, again, because we have more music to happen, to just settle down, focusing on a breath, just dropping down, inhabiting the body that little more deeply, and let the music begin. Oh, after the year we've been through, I couldn't help but cry. That's where the music took me. That's what I was noticing. Extraordinary, isn't it? It's extraordinary. But I wonder, people are already saying here, the shivers, they're out on the moors and the open sky and the honeyed melody, so enveloping, generous. A feeling of home and so full. And it feels like I've returned to a familiar place, free from troubles and fears. I think everybody needs to just kind of sit with this. But I wonder what you notice. What do you notice? Who would like to offer?
I think it's a tremendous treat to be able to perform like this. I mean, performing is an act of deep mindfulness anyway, and I'm really enjoying Lesley's sort of lead into the pieces as a performer, because I find it really helps get in the right place, really, to be able to get the most from what Jane was talking about with connections, and to really get into the music and not be distracted by the things. I think too often, particularly at the moment, we all bring so much of what's going on outside to everything we're doing, and it's tremendously, it feels like a huge release to play like this, where we feel completely engrossed in what we're doing. And yeah, it's a real privilege to play in this setting where we can get the most from it as performers, and hopefully that communicates as well to the audience.
I hear you. Thank you so much. I'm also slightly distracted by some of the things that has been said here, so can I add to what you've just said, Andy, there? Because there's tears, but in a peaceful, safe way, and a deep emotional connection with the music, and graceful soaring, cathartic. And the idea of cathartic is where not to be swayed by these emotions. That's what I was meaning in the introduction, is these will rise, they'll happen. And it's allowing them to be there without getting entangled in them or caught in a story, and not getting them here, letting them be here. The emotions can be here, but not here. If they're too overwhelming, then they can get in the way of what matters to us. But the metaphor is allow the music to be there, allow the emotions to be there. They can be there without you getting caught up in them. That's cathartic. And a thread has been woven all the way through my spine. And the emotions, what the people are watching, the emotions on your faces, and the way that your bodies are moving and swaying, and it touches and grounds them. It is an anchoring. It's not just the music, it's what we can see. And somebody's saying here that she heard heard skylarks 2 days ago, and the music was so reminiscent, and the feeling of hope, of better times to come. I know that, mindful of time, I'd want to stay with some of your comments before we move on. So does anybody else want to notice just what you were noticing in terms of that piece of music, but also in response to what people have been saying, or indeed in response to what Andy has said?
I find, because this is a piece that we know so well, actually it's the comments, like Andy said, it's the comments from other people that touch you and make a difference. Because you start to see it through slightly different eyes as well. It's a very different, it's like it's being reinterpreted through other people's reactions, I think.
Yeah. So to get, it's from the soul. It is extraordinary. It's amazing just to watch, and it invigorates. You can see them too. It's coming up. So yeah, it's that sense of immediacy of people's response. So you were going to say something?
Well, I was just going to add that in terms of it being an anchor, for me, this piece has got such warmth to it, and within the beautiful fluttering of the bird up above, the tutti is so beautifully scored, very close, and the texture's quite close together, and that for me creates this warmth, both as the way it's been written, but also just the way I kind of feel when I'm playing it. It feels lovely to be that close in everybody's voices here on the ensemble.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? because I just wanted to kind of start drawing things in. Go ahead.
Just playing together. I mean, we haven't played together for a year almost, but playing together, the one thing I've missed that I feel today is the sense of collective pulse. It's that we're playing in a pulse together, and you can't do that by yourself. And even when you're listening to music, you don't get the sense as much as when we're here performing. I think, just the inevitability of just we're moving forward all together and breathing together, but without words. It's been a long time.
I can only smile because I can feel that. I hope everybody out there feels a sense of connection, because we definitely do. And I'm just caught again. There's such beautiful comments. I have to share them with you. So, a soaring high, I felt such joy, and the absorbing comment to me. Lesley has introduced me to a way of absorbing so much more from the music. Delightful, and such a wonderful shared experience. So I know what's coming next, so I don't want to delay it too much at all. We have to bring this to a close. But we'll bring it to a close in a way that I often, when I'm teaching meditation, I suggest to people, take leave of the meditation as you would take leave of a friend. You wouldn't just abruptly get up and walk off in the opposite direction. You would bid them adieu. You would say goodbye, and you'd do it with heartfelt kind of, connection, if that's the word. So what I'm suggesting is that we're now going to offer you a piece of music which will lighten you. I have no doubt will lighten you, and you'll have it singing in your head as you go forwards in the day. And it's our taking leave. Yes.